Hi, this is Austin. Welcome to my channel. As I think about the path toward my next goal of 250k, I realized that this stage feels very different from everything that came before it. Reaching my first 150k told me that consistency works, but moving beyond that milestone requires something deeper than just repeating the same actions with more intensity. This next step isn't about speeding things up or taking bigger risks. It's about staying patient, protecting what I have already built, and letting time do more of the heavy lifting. The journey to 250k feels less like a sprint and more like a long, steady climb where emotional discipline and clarity matter just as much as strategy. In this video, I want to share how I am thinking about this next stage, not as a promise of quick results, but as a realistic, intentional process that I believe can last for a long run. After reaching my first 150k, I noticed that something subtle but important changed in the way I think about investing. The sense of urgency I used to feel slowly faded, and I stopped measuring progress week by week or month by month. Instead of constantly wondering where I was doing enough, I started trusting the system I had already built. I became less interested in comparing myself to others and more focused on staying aligned with my own plan. This shift brought a level of calm I hadn't experienced before. The next stage toward 250k isn't about pushing harder or forcing faster results. It's about refinement. It's about doing fewer things but doing them better, and giving myself enough time and space to let the strategy work without interference. One of the most important principles guiding my journey toward 250k is that I am not chasing speed. It might sound counterintuitive, but trying to grow faster often introduces risks that can quietly undo years of progress. At this stage, I am not interested in leveraging aggressive bets or constantly adjusting my strategy in search of higher returns. I have learned that rushing tends to amplify emotions, and emotional decisions are usually the most expensive ones. Instead, I want my growth to be steady and repeatable, even if it feels slow at times. By refusing to chase speed, I'm protecting both my capital and my mindset, and that gives me far more confidence as I move through this next phase of my investing journey. As my portfolio grows, I have become even more intentional about staying boring on purpose. Strategies like consistently investing in VOO and QQQ may not feel exciting, but that's exactly why they work so well over time. With more capital at stake, even unnecessary moves carries a higher cost, and complexity no longer feels like an advantage. Boring strategies are easier to understand, easier to stick with, and far more resilient during uncertain markets. By keeping my approach simple, I reduce the chance of making emotional mistakes and give myself the space to stay focused on what actually matters. At this stage, boring isn't weakness. It's a form of discipline that protects long-term progress. As I think about the path toward 250k, I am paying more attention to my cash flow than ever before. Investment returns matter, but they are only one part of the equation, and they are not something I can fully control. What I can control is how consistently I save, how stable my income is, and how reliability I can keep investing month after month. Strengthening my cash flow gives me strategies a solid foundation, especially during periods when the market feels unpredictable. It allows me to keep investing without stress and avoid making decisions out of fear. At this stage, focusing on cash flow isn't about being conservative. It's about building a system that can support long-term growth without breaking under pressure. As my portfolio grows, I'm learning to let compounding do more of the work instead of trying to force progress myself. Earlier in my journey, it felt like every contribution and decision carried a lot of weight, and I was always focused on what I could do next to speed things up. Now the balance is shifting. With a larger base, time starts to play a much bigger role, and small, consistent actions become more powerful than frequent adjustments. I don't need dramatic moves or constant optimization. I need patience and enough time for compounding to unfold naturally. Trusting this process helps me stay calm and reinforces the idea that steady progress doesn't require constant effort or intervention. As the numbers grow, I have realized that emotional capital is just as important as financial capital. Bigger portfolios doesn't just amplify gains, they also amplify stress if you are not careful. That's why, at this stage, I am much more intentional about protecting my mental and emotional energy. I avoid overexposure to market news, limit how often I check my portfolio, and give myself permission to step back when the notice gets out. Emotional mistakes become more expensive as the stakes increase, and I don't want short-term anxiety to damage long-term progress. By protecting my emotional capital, I'm giving myself the clarity and stability I need to stay consistent on the path toward 250K. When it comes to my actual plan for reaching 250K, it's intentionally simple. I'm continuing to invest consistently on a fixed schedule, keeping my focus on a small number of ETFs that I understand well, and avoid unnecessary changes along the way. Instead of reacting to the daily market movements, I plan to review my progress periodically and make adjustments only when my long-term goals or life situation change. I don't need to check my portfolio often or optimize every detail. The goal is to stay steady and let the process work. By keeping the plan clear and uncomplicated, I give myself the best chance to stay committed to both calm and the challenging market conditions. As confident as I feel about the path to 250K, I also know that progress is rarely perfectly smooth. Market downturns, unexpected life change, or even simple loss of motivation can all slow things down at different points. Instead of pretending this challenge won't happen, I am choosing to prepare for them. That means keeping my expectations realistic, maintaining flexibility in my plan, and reminding myself that temporary setbacks don't define long-term outcomes. When the market feels difficult or life gets busy, my system is designed to keep working quietly in the background. By planning for obstacles rather than feeling them, I can stay grounded and continue moving forward without overreacting. When I think about the journey ahead toward 250K, what gives me confidence isn't certainly about the market. It's a system and mindset I have built over time. I don't know exactly how long it will take or what the market will do along the way, and I'm okay with that. What I do know is that I have learned how to stay consistent, how to manage my emotions, and how to keep my strategy simple and sustainable. This next stage is about providing anything or rushing to a number. It's about continuing to show up with patience and discipline. As long as I stay focused on the process and protect the habits that got me here, I trust the progress will follow, one steady step at a time. Thanks for watching, I'm Austin, and see you next week.